my special guest because it's our call. Hopefully you won't be thrown aback by me sipping coffee because I always sip coffee during coffee with tea. I like to play on words, and so I do a video blog. For people who are coming on, I wanted to give you an introduction. I'm the Amazing Tea Street. Hey, Kim. Evrek, thank you for putting your face up. Y'all see Kim's face came up? Put your faces up. I wanted to come on and do this differently. Normally, on Wednesday evenings, I record a video blog called Coffee with Tea, and it's just really a few minutes of motivational and word and inspiration, just to keep people going. I've been doing it since Thanksgiving when my son came home and challenged me because he bought me equipment that I never used. And so I started to do a weekly blog called Coffee with Tea. And it's because I really like to drink coffee and I like to play on the words that we would have coffee with me. And so I sip coffee and invite people just to kind of relax and to just chill with me. And so when we started this, I just wanted to be able to post it to my YouTube channel so people could go on when they wanted to. And the only live one that I've ever really done, I did one about a month ago with some teachers from a school, from one of my schools. And I did the first one with my son, Christopher. It was an interview. I interviewed him, and then he just switched the tables and he interviewed me. If you want to see any of the past ones, you can find it on my YouTube channel. When you go on YouTube, Google Amazing Tea Street, and I do have a YouTube channel. We are going to try to upload this one when we're done as well. So I wanted to come on and today and have a special guest. This is a special time. And I'm not talking about crises. I'm talking about an opportunity time. And that's kind of how I see this. This is a great time for us to connect. If you're coming on, please, if you would, show your face. If you got the courage, show your face. But today I invited one of my special guests. And by the way, if you have a topic that you'd like to come on next week, well, next week I have a guest already, but if you have a topic in the coming weeks that you'd like me to cover, and I'm probably going to do more than one a week, please, by all means, reach out to me and I'm happy. Thank you. So Green, I appreciate you. I'm happy to have multiple conversations and topics coming up. Hey, Tyrell. So today I reached out to my special guest who I will introduce, and I said, hey, would love to have you on my show. You're so like multifaceted and you have so many different things happening in your life. Would love to invite you on. You can choose the topic. And when she sent me back the topic of looking at this notion of distancing, not just social distancing, which we'll talk about in a minute, I loved the topic. And so I'm going to get started by introducing our guest. You'll see her up in the top corner. Wave, that's her waving. Quiona C. Russell, PhD, affectionately known as Dr. Q, is a seasoned consultant who has traveled the nation sharing her expertise, experiences, and energy to audiences from all walks of life. Dr. Q is a senior medical science liaison who serves as a medical wound consultant and research intermediate for a large pharmaceutical and biotech organization. She is also an entrepreneur who has built a successful business, motivating and encouraging others to travel the world while securing multiple streams of income. Dr. Q is an in-demand MC, speaker, and trainer who brings professionalism, passion, and purpose to every event. She has graced the stage as a powerful host for national, regional, and local events, ranging from women's empowerment seminars to spiritual conventions, and even arena field step shows. Dr. Q Russell is a versatile and poignant presenter who shares insightful, thought-provoking dialogue while creating colorful narrative that will leave you encouraged, excited, and ready to take action. Q Russell lives in Indiana with her husband and her daughter and enjoys traveling, reading, shopping, and exercising. So if you all would just, if you're on, just wave your hand. There's a clap button in the corner. Wave your hand and welcome Dr. Q. Dr. Q, how are you today?
Hey, what's going on? How's it going? Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if you can see that people are clapping, even the ones who aren't showing us their faces, they're clapping.
I see. Thank y'all.
Super excited. Oh, I just see D Blue just came on. Hey, she's connecting right now.
D-Blue.
I'm excited to see so many of the people that I know and some people that I don't know. Boy, that excites me. Dr. Q, we're going to get started. First of all, give people, I gave them your bio, give people a little bit about your background. And by the way, she has a PhD in cardiovascular physiology.
Right.
Okay, I can barely pronounce it, but she's got a PhD in that. So Dr. Q, can you just give us a little bit about your background?
Yes, sure. So hello, everyone. T, I was waiting for the music. I was ready to have a little bit of a party.
My bad.
I know that's how you usually start the coffees with tea, so maybe we'll end with that when we leave. But I'm excited to be on, everyone. T read my bio. I am Ohio native. I am originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I grew up and went to high school outside of Dayton, Ohio in Trotwood. And leaving there, I went to Old Dominion University in Virginia for my bachelor's degree in sports medicine. And then from there, I went to Howard University and got my master's in clinical physiology. And then I finished up at the Ohio State University, where I completed my doctorate in cardiovascular physiology. So I have matriculated across the country, going to school, and primarily in medical fields. And then from there, I went back to DC and I did a postdoc residency training program. And that was with the Department of Defense. So it was military, although I'm a civilian when I was there. And then from there, I taught medical school for a few years before moving here where I live now in outside of Indianapolis in Carmel, Indiana. And started working for the medical division of a pharmaceutical and biotech company. So I've had a chance to travel and see a whole lot in my educational pursuits. And just in addition to that, started a business as well, as far as, like T said, just looking at multiple streams of income. That's not something they taught me in college. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't just have financial freedom, but also some time freedom as well. And so I was blessed to delve into some ventures from that perspective, just to make sure that I wasn't just working, but that and living to work, but I was or working to live. I was living and enjoying creating some memories. So that's what I've had the opportunity to do over the last several years, and I've been in the position I'm with now with the company as a medical consultant for about 11 years, and so. I've had an opportunity to speak a lot, but it's usually in the medical arena. I speak to as a consultant with physicians, primarily surgeons and podiatrists and home care specialists. And so I usually travel from that perspective. When the patient is chronic or difficult to heal, they will fly me in, and then I'll come up with medical care plans and consult on getting the patient healed up. So that's what I do by day. In the evening, I like to have a lot of fun. Like he said, I've done a lot of emceeing, speaking, and hosting events. So it's like enjoying people and bringing energy and passion to, the things that are affecting us every day. So I'm excited to be on the call. Thank you.
Absolutely. So everybody, just so you know, there is a chat feature. So if you have questions as we go along that you want to ask either one of us, we agreed that we wanted this to be more conversational between the two of us, but we certainly want to be able to entertain questions from you all. But also at the end, if you'd like to pop on or take your mute off, or if in the middle you have a question, if we say something that sparks a question, flag us down, let us know, wave at us, let us know that you want to get in and ask a question, or you can put it in the chat. I know a lot of people are just becoming familiar with Zoom in this time. So right. I want to make sure that we kind of share. If you go on the bottom of your screen, you can unmute yourself. It's something that looks like a microphone. That's where you unmute. If you want to come on and actually bring your video on and let us see your face as some of the folks are doing. Hey, Tamika, hey. I see quite a few folks coming on. That's where you would do that piece. And hey, Shonda, you would do that piece over there. And then you can also come over where it says chat. And if you have a question or you want to type a comment over there, you can do that. I'll be checking those throughout the conversation. And if you don't want to ask a question verbally, you just want to send us a question, we're happy to do that. But we're going to get started. When I asked Dr. Q to send me a topic, she said, and by the way, one of the things she didn't mention is that she started about a year ago a national prayer call on Wednesday nights. It's short, it's about anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. People from all over the country pray. It's a women's prayer call. And so she invites people on to just pray. And no, people don't put in prayer requests. You just come on, you get some good prayer, and then you click off. There's no requirement to do anything. And so I said to her, so talk to me about what you want to talk about. And she said, during this time, everybody's talking about social distancing. I want to talk also about emotionally distancing and physically distancing and spiritually distancing, both the advantages and the disadvantages of that. And so I was like, oh, I like that. And what can happen in this season, which is where we also came up with the second part of that, which is how do you then build and develop and grow in this season? And how do we look at this as something that is an asset versus the way lots of people are looking at it, all the things we can't do because we're on lockdown. And it's even the terminology that we use. And so we wanted to look at these at the topic and just look at it through different lenses. So I'm going to start out, Dr. Q, by asking you the first question, which is, talk with me a little bit about what it means to socially distance yourself, emotionally distance yourself, physically distance yourself, and spiritually distance yourself. Why do you want to talk about that topic? And what does that mean?
Yeah, so, like you said, during this time, we don't have a shortage of people talking about social distancing. I'm not even sure that was a word 10 years ago, right? It's a part of every household conversation these days, but it's a little bit of a misnomer when we talk about social distancing, because when you talk about social distancing, in fact, our social interactions have increased. Social media is being used at unprecedented rates. We're on a call like this to make sure we have social connections. You said show your face so we can connect. So social distancing is a little bit of a misnomer. I'm going to read what the CDC and the Webster Dictionary says social media or social distances actually is. It says that it is the practice of maintaining a greater than usual physical distance from other people, or avoiding direct contact with people or objects in public places during the outbreak of contagious disease, or in order to minimize or exposure and reduce the transmission of infection. So really, social distancing is a misnomer. We don't want to social distance ourselves. We want to stay connected. It's really about physical distancing. It's about making sure that there is more than average or normal distance physically between you and other people. And so I started to think about that a little bit, and I was thinking about this social distancing thing has been very difficult for some people. I mean, you have some people that enjoy it because they're homebodies. But after a few weeks of social distancing, even those people get a little bit tired of not being able to go places, right? And so social distancing for some has just been a struggle, staying in the house, not going places, particularly if you have a very busy life and you're used to ripping and running. So I thought about, as much as we talk about social distancing, and how necessary it is in this season, some of us, we need to mentally distance, emotionally distance, and spiritually distance. There are some people that you need to practice maintaining a greater distance than normal from, avoiding direct contact, because that is how you grow in this season. If we're talking about emotionally or mentally distancing ourselves, that's really important. But is it going to be difficult? Sure. But why do we do it? We do it so that we can get better. We do it so that we don't transmit those unhealthy things you don't want. Same thing is true mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Sometimes you need to distance yourself from people mentally. You need to distance yourself from certain people spiritually, emotionally. You have to set yourself apart. It is something that you do for a period of time, not for a very long time. If you look at the definition, it says to purposely put more than normal, right? More than your average distance between you and somebody else. And if you're doing that mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, it really is a place for you to get back to the things that make you healthy again. And I think that as much as we struggle with social distancing from that physical perspective, it's something that we don't often do mentally, emotionally, or spiritually that we should. And that's very difficult to do, because sometimes when you think about distancing yourself from people, it's kind of like you got to cut people off. You got to reduce the contact. You got to put more space between you and the people that you normally would interact with. And I think that is super important in terms of your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. What are those things, those people? And sometimes it's not just people, it's things, it's people, it's groups What things do you need to set yourself apart from for a season, that you need to increase the amount of distance that you put between them physically to reduce the transmission of things that are contagious and unhealthy for you? And that's why I wanted to have the call, because I think that when we start talking about distancing ourselves and putting things in place to protect your peace and to get back to a place of happiness, it takes a little bit of effort, and it certainly is a struggle. And of course, you know, even with that social distancing that we're practicing now, when you have to go to the store, they still tell you to put on some gloves or put a mask on. Sometimes the people you have to interact with, you still need to put on spiritual gloves. You need to put on that spiritual mask, that emotional mask, those gloves, because you don't want to get infected, right? And so I think it's very intentional and purpose that we do that if we're going to be healthy during this time. So while we're doing this physical distancing, I think it's a great time, at least for me. I'm also doing some emotional distancing. I mean, Lord forbid someone tell you to get off of social media for a day or a week or two, right? Because you need to spiritually detox. You need to emotionally distance yourself, because it's not, like I said, about just direct contact with people. What are you taking in? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you seeing all the time? Those are gateways also to your emotional, your mental, and your spiritual health as well. That's why I thought it was really relevant, and why I'm endeavoring to do more than just social distancing during this time.
Okay, you talked a little bit about the why we should. What are the downsides to doing all these different kinds of distancing? I saw the upside is that we block out some of the toxic things that can come in spiritually, emotionally, and physically, and all those things. What are the downsides to doing all these kinds of distancing?
I think that with anything, particularly when it looks as if you're cutting people off, the preservation of relationships become important. And sometimes when you're distancing yourself from people spiritually, mentally, or emotionally, people can take that personal. So I think that you have to be very intentional in how you're doing it. Let people know that you're taking some time for you, why you're doing it, the reason. Those people that are really important and you're used to communicating them, because relationships are really important. But at the same time, there are some seasons when you need to, you know, draw away. And so I think that that's one of the biggest things. In addition to that, one of the downsides, I think, particularly as you're talking about emotional, we're emotional beings. We thrive off of this. That's why more than ever, we're talking about social distancing. We really are, like I said, seeing the increase in social connections, people being more intentional about reaching out and checking in on people. Those are the things that we thrive on as people. We need that. And so you want to make sure that there's balance with your distancing, that you're not to the point where you're not connecting with people. You're feeling alone, because a lot of times, even in this season now that we're going through, people are feeling lonely. You know, we take for granted sometimes that we live with people because they get on our nerves. We've been in the house with them too long. You want them to go in the closet. You want to go in the garage and get away from me. You know, I don't want to be around you anymore. But think about the people that live alone. The people that, you know, if they're really following the social distancing, they're not working, they're working from home, and you haven't touched another human in 2 weeks. You haven't physically held somebody's hand or gave a hug. The stuff we take for granted. You walk in the room, hey girl, you give her a hug. Hey man, you give them a high five. Those things that you can't do anymore. So you have to be very careful, right? Because there's just things that I think that we thrive off of as humans, and we need to make sure. The downside is that we don't go too far with our distancing, because again, if you look at the definition, it's just for a period of time. It's not something you sustain forever. Right.
Oh, you mean because there's a good book that reads that it's not good for man and woman to be alone? You
There
mean
you
that
go.
book exists, and so we know this that
Exactly.
relationships are important.
All day.
Here's the question that I have, and Nia, don't be trying to make me jealous with that background. I see the background girl coming in and out. Um, One of the things that is making me laugh during this period is because people assume I'm learning a lot about people in my life in this
Mm-hmm.
season, in terms of there are people that people assume are natural extroverts because they operate in their lives, in their work world, where they have to be extroverts. I'm one of those people. Most people who know me well know I don't get my energy from people. When I get done at the end of a day, people have zapped all of my energy because I operate up here, but my favorite place is to be by myself. Like my son being in my space gets on my nerves. And he don't even he ain't even in my space, he's in his room, but his presence in my house is on my nerves. So, and it's not personal to him, it's just, it could be any of you. One of the things that I would ask you is, how do you balance this notion, even for introverts like me who I have loved this season of my life. How do you balance some of the mental health challenges that go along with loneliness and being alone that sometimes lead to depression? How can even the introverts balance that out? And for the extreme extroverts who are dying, Mia, because they gotta be stuck. Because literally just watching folks like try to survive this, introverts and extroverts. How would you suggest that we go about adjusting to this time?
I think the biggest thing is to be intentional. And so even with getting on a call like this, where you're seeing, people from all walks of life doing all different kind of things and purposely connecting. Picking up the phone, getting on calls, joining all of those crazy Instagram concerts that are going on, those Facebook Live parties that are happening. You have to be intentional about doing things so that you have some balance. And again, that is why when we're talking about distancing, whatever kind of distance is, it has to be for a subscribed period of time. You can't do it forever. You don't want to do it forever. And if you are an introvert and you're loving this time, you don't want to go into yourself to the point, like you said, you look up and you feel like you're lonely. You want to make sure that, you're calling. That's why it's important to pick up the phone and call somebody. We always say, you crossed my mind. When they crossed your mind, what did you do with it? They crossed your mind and they kept going, or did they cross your mind and you grabbed them for a minute because you sent the text or you sent the phone call or whatever the case is? And so I think that the biggest thing is that we purposely engage. You have to make sure that you're being purposeful. You have to make sure that you're doing the things that you know that are necessarily for you to be happy. And for me, it has been doing a lot of this, a lot of phone calls and doing calls like this and interacting and things of that nature, because I am an extrovert. So getting out and going, that's my thing. But I've made use of this time like I've never before. Listen, we are in an unprecedented time. I can guarantee most of us will not get another opportunity like this in this season. As much as you despise it, the opportunity where you don't have to go anywhere, there are no meetings you are going to miss. There is not a place that you need to run. You saving on your gas. You might be saving some money if you ain't ordering everything on Amazon. You are really in a unique position right now. And for me to take that and say, the people I said I was going to call that I didn't, or the people that I said, I'm going to pray for you, and I was somewhere at the movies and then forgot. Like the stuff that you can do now intentionally make all the difference in terms of making sure you're balanced and you're not too far extroverted and you're not too far introverted. You pick and choose what you need to feed yourself and to be healthy in doing that. And so for me, this is a great, great time to do something different than we've never had an opportunity to do before.
So I don't really like to talk on the phone. And so one of the things I've been forcing myself, because people said, hey, T, if you do this, can you talk about some practical things? Don't just talk philosophically. I love that some of the examples you gave, Q. So one of the things that I did is I reached out to one of my friends. I'm not very artistic. My sister is an artist. One of my sisters is an artist, and I'm not that person. I didn't get that gene. And so she didn't really care. And I made a video of me reading this homemade card, and it's a heart, and it says love is. And literally, I read it into a video camera, and then I sent it to her so she could keep it. And on her down days, she could click in and remember that somebody loved her.
Yeah.
And it gave the example, and it says, these days have given me lots of time to count my blessings. Each time I do, you are always in my top 10. Love, T. And then I just texted it to her. And she was like, oh my God, it came at the right time. You have no idea how much I needed that. And I would have probably foregone it. And then she picked up the phone and she called me. And I did something that I don't normally do. I didn't send her to voicemail. Clap your hands if you've ever reached out to me. Just hit the little clap button and I sent you to voicemail. I send people to voicemail all the time because I don't like talking on the phone. I just don't. I'll text you, I'll social media you to death, but I don't like talking on the phone. And so she was like, I knew it was a big, Felicia is clapping her hands because yes, I have. It's not my thing. But in this season, I love the word that you use, much more intentional, making sure that people know that they are loved. And I want to caution everybody on this call to reach out to people, because there are people who are battling depression. There are people who are sitting alone in their homes. There are people who are sitting alone in their home with their kids. How many of y'all, clap your hands if you know being at home with your kids can send you straight off the wall? I see some folks clapping for real. Whether they're your grown kids who think that they know everything. How many of y'all got grown kids who don't believe that this virus is real? And so they still want to be the social butterflies. I see Mia and Kim. I see some folks clapping. I see Fee. Let me just be clear. This is a hard time for everybody, including them. And so that I think that that's important. And so finding creative ways. One of the things I want to encourage you all to do if you don't want to talk is go into the chat, share some things that you all are doing in this time to stay connected, or if you are always ultra connected, to socially and emotionally and spiritually distance yourself.
Right.
Dr.
Very
King,
true.
one of the things that people may or may not know, you're not really a social media person. Like she goes on like her family. If I post anything about her, she'll go on her mother or her sister's account to see it. Or like the only way she'll know I've posted something is because I can't tag her in it because she's not on Instagram, she's not on Facebook. I can't tag her. So people will start to text her and be like, I saw this picture of you on Facebook. And she'll be like, what you post?
Right.
How have you, Shopaholic, how have you used this time to spiritually distance yourself?
So when I first reached out to you talking about spiritual distancing, I really, the biggest thing is I was like, well, gosh, church, right? So everybody is streaming church or doing some type of social media related type of church. And for me, it's just trying to be more intentional about going to services I normally wouldn't be able to go to. There is a Bible study on Wednesday in the middle of the day at noon or in the evening. I typically could not do that because of my travel schedule for work. So it's making sure that I am connecting and feeding myself those things, listening to and hearing those different, audio books, or whether it's a sermon or something that somebody sent me, just to spend some time spiritually reflecting and thinking about the things that I need to be doing in this season. And so for me, taking active steps to do things that I otherwise wouldn't be able to do. That's the whole key to this whole situation we're in right now. What are you doing? I asked this question earlier today of one of my nieces. I said, what are you doing today? Or what are you going to have accomplished or done during this season that you weren't doing before? If you're the same person coming into this coronavirus season as the same person coming out, then you wasted all of this time. Okay, you have to be intentional about doing something different that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. If it's about you cooking more because you don't cook all the time because you're running around. If it's you don't go to Bible study because you don't have time to do it. You don't spend time with kids except for when you put them to bed after you get to work. Your husband barely sees you because you're running to this meeting and this club and you're doing that. It's doing things that are different than what it was before you started. And I told her, I said, if you're the same person and your routine is the same or your routine falls, pandemic never happened, you missed the opportunity to take advantage of this time. And so for me, spiritually, I'm not going to be at the same place that I was. I've gotten a little closer in the race. I've gone a little farther. I developed a little more. I have more impact. And it's not just about what I can do for me. It's about who I can pour into and what I can do for somebody else too in this season. And so I think that is really the key from a spiritual perspective of how much can I pour into myself so that when somebody else needs it. And you talked about the person that might get lonely, the person that might be feeling depressed in this season. So when that person calls you or they reach out to you, or just like you said, they don't contact you, you haven't heard from them, you'd have something to pour into them because you've been poured into yourself. And I think that that's really the key. So in terms of looking at all of this.
So people are commenting on the side. Somebody, Kalan said, social media, IG concerts. I know IG concerts are killing it. Consistent group chats, FaceTimes, family time. Fee says, reading more, understanding what it means to be still, reflecting, resetting goals. Brandy says, I really agree about talking to people as soon as you think about them. I learned it the hard way, nearly losing a friend, that is so important to reach out to people. Reese said, preach. Kim says, we made a point of reflecting daily on what we are grateful for. Cheryl said, and I see Cheryl was getting it in. Cheryl says, bike riding, reading, catching up with long lost friends.
Come on.
With her husband. HUSBA.
Come on, husband.
Husband.
Absolutely.
Maddie says, I've been spending a lot of time with family, making time to catch up with friends via FaceTime. taking the time to engage in hobbies I enjoy that I normally don't have time for. Val says, I'm becoming more tech savvy. She's a teacher, and she's so excited because she's really learning how to use that technology to engage her students. And just remember, you can always come on the side and chat because we want this to be interactive. Bree says, I've been working way more on my YouTube channel. I will give folks, if you go into chat, Brees, if you want to put your YouTube channel over there, because I love if we can share resources with each other in the chat room. Brees is, when I say love, she is on loan to me as a niece. She's living here in Columbus. She's actually Dr. Q's niece. And so she's here, and I'm her family here in Columbus because she's a student at Ohio State. And she has a YouTube channel all about like makeup and self-esteem. And she also runs a girls mentoring group at one of the middle schools. And the kids, because she's so close in age, the girls love her. So Brees, if you want to put your channel, she just put it over there in the chat room. You guys can come over. If you want to leave a comment or ask a question, this is a great opportunity for us to talk about this notion of distancing. One of the things, my mom, I made my dad, I downloaded on his phone. My dad's 82, my mom's 81. And I downloaded Marco Polo so that I could leave him videos, even when he's asleep, or I can leave a video and then when he wakes up, he can check it. And so my mom likes to hear me preach. Okay, literally, she likes to hear me preach. And my mom, some people know this and some people don't. My mom has Alzheimer's. And when she's cognizant, she likes to hear me preach. And so sometimes I'll go on and just preach a word that my dad can share with my mom on his phone, from his phone to my mom on Marco Polo. And it's just a short message reminding my mom that God loves her. And that for me is feeling me as much as hopefully it's feeling her and him. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. Mia said, I had to figure out how to transfer from my phone to my laptop. I'm so thankful for the time I'm able to spend being still and being with my family. My son may drive me nuts at times, but I love having him home. Asana said, I've been working more on my online lash business. All right, lashes. I might need some of them when we get done. Reading and journaling are the things that folks are saying.
Yes. I was just thinking about, just reading some of the comments of the different people that are on the call. And one of the things, today I was having a conversation and I asked the question, I said, are you the same person coming into this pre-coronavirus season are you going to be the same going out that you came in? And she said, I don't want to be, but I just don't know where to start. So there are really some practical things, because there's not a shortage of people talking about, I'm reading more, I'm doing more. And like you said, all of those things are great. But what about people that don't know where to start? I don't really know what I need to do. And so for me, I wanted to be really practical about how I am making sure that even in my emotional, physical, and social distance, it's not enough to remove yourself from those things socially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then do nothing with the time. You have to do something with the time so that you will be better on the other side for it, right? So sometimes, if you think about what we can do. So one of the things I think that's really important is to write down the things that you have always wanted to do, the things you've always dreamt about doing, the things that you've always intended to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be big, but they can. It could be start a lash business. It could be work on my YouTube channel. It could be work out more consistently. To be clean out the garage has been like that for 4 years. I complain about every time I don't have nowhere to pull my car, right? It could be anything, but you got to write it down, because there is a wise book that says write the vision and make it plain. You have to write it down and make it plain. That's the first practical step. I don't care if you write it on a dry erase board, if you write it in a journal, if you write it on a piece of toilet tissue paper, write it down somewhere.
Not toilet tissue paper.
I hold it on the side now. Write it down somewhere so that you will be able to do what? Go back to it and read it and add to it. That's the first thing. And then the other thing is that you have to create some action steps. In this season where we're talking about social distancing, there's a lot of do this, do that without telling people how to do it. And I realized today when I was having that conversation, she said, I don't know where to start, that you have to have practical ways to do it. So you write it down, you make it plain. And then after you write it down, you want to do what? You want to create action steps. So how are you going to do it? It's not enough to say, I want to go back to school. Well, you want to go back to school, you wrote that down, but how are you going to do that? You're going to research the program. You're going to start calling some people that have already been in the program. I'm writing a book. You want to start doing what? Writing down and jotting some of your notes. You want to think about, I mean, you have to be intentional, write down steps. And it really is like an outline of sorts that you're putting together. And then after you write it down, this is the thing that most people miss that I do a lot. I actually confess it. After I have thought about, I wrote down what I'm going to do, I made some action steps of how I'm going to get there, I start confessing it. If I'm saying I'm going to write a book, I say I'm going to have this book written by the end of 2020. This book is going to be a bestseller. If I'm saying I'm working out, I'm saying I'm working out 3 times a week. Now you might say, well, you lying, you ain't started yet. No, I'm confessing. See, there is a difference. There is an intention in your words, right? We say, and we hear this all the time, you know, you are what you say you are. The tongue that has power of life and death. What are you speaking to yourself? People say nothing. That's why nothing is happening. You have to speak to yourself. You hear you more than you hear anybody else. So you want to make sure that in writing it down and creating the action step and saying it, you need to be saying it. You need to be speaking. You need to be thinking about what you're going to do. And really important, telling people that are a part of your support network, because they help you to be accountable. If I tell T, I am going to do X, Y, and Z, she's going to ask me about it later. She tell me that she's doing something. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. And I'll ask her about it later. She might say, don't ask me that. I'll say, I'm asking you. You said it, I'm asking you. Okay. So the things that you are thinking about, you have to, and you don't share everything with everybody. We know you have to be selective, right? But your dreams, the thing that you have to do first is speak to you. And if you haven't spoken to you, I surmise whether there is not as much movement as you like to see in certain areas of your life, speak it. And then the last thing is that you got to go and do it. You got to create and take action. You may not get everything done on that list before this pandemic era is over, but you have some things done. I can already tell you, I know I'm not coming out of this thing the way I came into it. I've already started some projects. I already have done a few things. And so you want to make sure that you're being purposeful in this time and that you're not just distancing. Because see, what people are doing is distancing and eating, distancing and watching Netflix on binge, distancing and sleeping all day. That's why people don't want to show their face. You ain't combed your hair in 2 weeks, right? I know I didn't before I got on this call, right? So I get it. We all are doing that. But after we've taken that initial, woo, we ain't got to work. Woo, I ain't got no meetings. And that settles, what are you going to do to change? And so those practical steps I think are really key in this season. It's not enough to talk about what we're going to do. We got to equip each other and ourselves with how we're going to do it and make sure that we're speaking that and so that thing manifests.
So one of the things that I think is also crucial, Q, as a part of that, and you mentioned it as a piece of that, is one, you know, I love when we get so spiritually deep, you know, we're like, oh, I'm accountable to the Lord. But y'all know the Lord ain't down here every single day. Like, did you exercise? Did you exercise? I see you picking up that Klondike bar. The Lord ain't say that to me, but my sayings might say that to me. So one of the things I would encourage you to do is, even if it's somebody on this call, if you don't have an accountability partner, find one, find 2, find 3, find the people who hold you accountable for being who you say you're going to be on the other side of Corona. Who are we going to be at the end of this, as Dr. Q said, that we didn't come into this as? And so who are the people that you call? Jamaica says, consistency is the hard part for me.
You know what? That's really key, Sense. I was just about to say, you have to read that, because consistency is the hard part for a lot of us. What we know is what's easy to do is easy to not do. Okay, let me repeat that. What is easy to do is easy to not do. So just like you can get up and go work out, it's easy not to get up and work out. It's easy to say, you know, all of these things. So consistency is key. But what I want to surmise to people is consistency doesn't mean that it's every single day. Consistency may mean I've done it for a few days, I fell off, but I got back up again and I'm doing it again. So there's nothing wrong with restarting over and over and over again, because the idea is when you restart, you've done a little bit more the next time than you did the time previously. Okay, so when we think about consistency, we always a lot of time liken that to frequency. And frequency and consistency are not the same thing. So you have to be careful about being tough on yourself. You have to be careful about, and I'm just not that consistent. Listen, if you are falling and getting back up, the ideal is, you've heard this, if you fall 100 times, if you get up 101 times, you've been what? Consistent. because you kept trying over and over again. So do not confuse frequency with consistency, because I think we all struggle with that. So Jamaica, you have hit the nail, dead on the head with, it's the hard part. It's the hard part for most of us. But the getting back up and to doing it over and over a little bit more each time, I think is what the key is.
I love that statement. Don't confuse frequency with consistency.
Right.
One of the things that I will tell you is as you're trying to write, when you first start to write it down, I post things so I can find them in the places where I know I'm going to be. I post it in the bathroom because I know I'm going to have it in the mirror, because I'm going to brush my teeth. If I don't do nothing else, because I can't live with my own breath. So I'm going to brush my teeth. So I want to see it there. I put it in different places. If you know that you have been spending all your time in your refrigerator, I double dare you to put your goal on your refrigerator door. The places where you're going to be. If you know that you are like my son and you spend inordinate amount of time in the bathroom, put it in the bathroom. So that you continually see it over and over as the reminder of what you said you were going to do. Now, if it ain't your dream and it ain't your goal, don't do it. Stop trying to live other people's dreams and other people's goals and wondering why yours don't work out. The day that I stopped trying to fit in somebody else's box was the day that I understood freedom. It was also the day that I started to walk in my purpose, which is different. Purpose and your purpose are not the same thing. I don't have Regina's purpose. Our purposes are different. Doesn't mean that we don't do some things that are similar. I don't have Q's purpose. Whatever it is that's your purpose. This is a great season for you to figure it out if you don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I will do at some point. I'm going to do one on how do you find your purpose. Today's call is not that, how to find your purpose. I am going to do one because there are steps that you can go through to finding out what your purpose is. But once you figure it out, we have a responsibility to do something, because the thing that you're holding back on is somebody else's blessing. The thing that you refuse to do, you will be held accountable for, because somebody else's blessing is linked to your purpose. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have it as purpose. And so when you don't do it, I don't know about you, but I can't stand in front of God and be like, man, I messed this up. My bad. I know you told me to do this and I didn't do it. And so when you're talking about the practicality, she talked about writing it down and then practicing every day, just doing something towards that step. I have written so much content. I can't wait to hit the speaking circuit when this is over. And a lot of my friends who are speakers are on this chat, and they're all chatting. And I came off because there was so much doom and gloom that it depressed me. And I wasn't
at the distance,
because I was using this season to be creative. Like I reached out to school districts and said, while y'all trying to focus on academic learning, you don't think the kids suddenly ain't traumatized? Y'all been talking to us about trauma informed. How about contract with me to come on once a week and do some social and emotional learning with your kids? And 2 school districts took me up on that.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, in this season, hey, Sands, you've got to be creative in figuring out how to not sit around and come up with a million excuses. Mary Frances Berry said, people have a million excuses why they can't accomplish something, when all they need is one reason why they can.
Why they can. Absolutely.
Anybody, I'm looking on the side. Positive self-talk is so important, and being as kind to ourselves as we would with a friend. Yes, Cheryl, that's so.
Yes.
We are so forgiving. Girl, it's all right that you done stepped on my foot 4 times, but I won't forgive me for that Klondike bar that I ate last night. Really? Forgiving ourselves and being kind to ourselves in this process, and affording ourselves the ability to fall down and get back up.
I have a question for you that I like to throw out there. So the other part of the topic you talked about today is how you can grow and develop and really propel yourself in a desert season. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit and get your thoughts on that, because a lot of times there are a lot of misnomers about deserts. And so in that, how do you grow, and how do you continue to reinvent yourself and just, again, prepare yourself in what is considered a desert season? What specific things are you doing to ensure that you're, I guess, living up to what you said you were going to do? And that is, be different on the other side, right? You are inventing while people are in that same circuit that you are, they're complaining. You're booking while they are disparaged about where their next talk is going to come from. How is that happening? And what are you doing to grow and develop in the desert season?
So I'm a person who battles depression. And I know that when I allow myself to just sit around, one, I gain weight. I've gained a lot of weight, not just doing Corona. In the last year and a half, I've gained a lot of weight. And so in the season, I decided that I had a choice. And I could choose to be depressed, or I could do something with it that would inspire not just me, but other people. And so I made a conscious choice. The day that they told us that we didn't have to go to work, that was also the same day that some of my friends got notifications that all their speaking engagements were canceled. My agent reached out and she said, hey, just letting you know, because schools are closing and conferences. First, she sent something that said March is gone. Then she sent something that said April is gone. Then she sent something that said half of May is gone. This is a busy season for speakers. And so I had to make a decision. I said, well, I can't fix any of this. There's nothing I can do with the fact that schools are closed and that conferences aren't happening. What I can do is to make sure that when, not if, when we come out of this in the fall, which is also my busy season, that I come out with content that people have never seen. God has been really, I've been spending lots of quiet time of just being still and listening. And every single time I get an idea cue, I keep this journal right here beside me, not just beside my bed. When I'm walking around in the daytime, if I get a thought, I'll jot it down. And then later I go back and I write whatever it is I'm thinking. And then I go back later and I populate the points that I want to make so that when I come out of this, I'll have a body of stuff that I can use as a speaker, but also as a writer. I was supposed to finish a book in February. It wasn't done. It's almost done now. And so it'll go to the editors probably in a week and a half. It'll probably go to the editor because I've had this intentional time to do something with it. You said it earlier, it takes, it's just as easy to not do something as it is to do something. And so I just chose to do something. So in the season, whatever it is, I would suggest that whatever it is you're called to do it. One of the things, I'm pushing you on a project that God gave you a year ago, and really pushing you and saying to you, I just feel the weight of you getting this done for some reasons, because what you gave me from the project is really truly true, Q, the reason that I'm able to create in this season. When you talked about confessions and I start doing them and writing them down and putting them on the altar, things in my life start changing because I was confessing not necessarily what I had done, but what I was going to do, and really walking in that. And so I would encourage people to start, as you said, you gave the steps, but in this season, grow yourself. If you are a liar, practice telling the truth every day, even if you just tell it to yourself.
Come on.
When you talk about growing, all of us have spiritual places to grow.
Absolutely.
Places we want and need to grow. If you are a person who is pulled upon in your job, and this is the first time where you're working from home, clap if you're working from home. Yes. I encourage you to put into place now a system of self-care that balances your work and your home life, because most of us give way more to our work than we ever give to our home
Absolutely.
life. So your careers may go up, your marriages go down. Your relationships with your children go down. Your relationships with your friends go down. And here's what I can promise you. If you die tomorrow, killing yourself over your job, they will post your job description before they post your obituary.
Come on.
That's real talk. And so use this time. One of the things I committed to was, and I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, she and I did a coffee today online. And I said to her, I need us, when we're done with this, to put it on our calendars as a face-to-face. Be intentional about giving ourselves a lunch once a month. We deserve lunch. How many of you don't take lunch normally on your job because you just don't have time?
So true.
All y'all diabetics who shaking your hand and waving your hands, shame on you. Because y'all know, don't be covering your hair, Regina. Y'all know that you gotta eat at the right times. Because when you don't do that, you're not healthy. Look at that Snicker bar. Did you see us, that diabetic, hold up that Snicker bar? If we are eating, we're eating unhealthy. I want us to put into place some things now that we will carry beyond Corona Rona. And by the way, I like making up the names for Dorona. I love the creativity that people are using because sometimes we need to laugh. We act like we can't laugh. Y'all know that meme of our governor and the lady who interprets him that look just like him. Y'all know that meme is funny. Y'all know it is, and we don't give ourselves permission to laugh. I encourage you every day, go on and watch something funny. Pull up Eddie Murphy's Delirious from the 80s and laugh your head off, because laughter is good for the soul. There's a good book that told us that. So does that answer that question?
It does. And I think that it's very practical. I mean, you basically are talking about, putting you first and just making a decision. I am reminded of a poem that I never saw: a wild thing sorry for itself, a small bird
will drop frozen dead from a bough
without having felt sorry for itself. So it's really important that, if you want something different for yourself, you have to do something. But I also want to leave with this point about the desert. You have to look at a desert in a different perspective than you probably have. Most of the time when you think of desert, you think of a dry place full of sand under the scorching sun with very little life. But the truth about deserts is that it is bustling with life. There are a lot of plants that grow in the desert. There are a lot of animals that thrive in the desert. And really the desert, that really just means abandoned place. So what we subscribe to it in terms of the sand and the hot and no life is really not accurate from a scientific perspective. Desert means abandoned place. See, so this coronavirus season, you're not really in the desert unless you abandon your dreams. You abandon your commitments. You abandon change. You're only abandoning yourself, then it's a desert. But this is not a desert season if you haven't abandoned those things, if you endeavor to be intentional. And the other thing is important is that at nighttime, this is a little fact that was really amazing to me, that it's very cool in the desert at nighttime. Mm-hmm. So most of the animals that thrive in the desert seasons are the ones that move at night. So if it looks like it's dark in your season, it's dark on your dream, it's dark in what you need to do, it's dark in you making progress, this is the time you need to be moving. See, desert animals have something called night visions. It's where they're the most active and they preserve their activity and their energy in the day. So if it's looking dark, this is when you should be most active. I'm reminded of a story of a young man named Daniel, and he, along with 3 of his friends, were in a situation where they were in captivity, just like a lot of other young men. And at that time, everybody that was in this self-quarantine captivity, they weren't really doing much. They were all eating the same thing. They were watching the same Netflix. They were sitting around the house. But Daniel and his 3 friends said, we're going to do something different. We're not going to eat what everybody is eating. We're not going to do the same activities. We're just going to do something different just for 10 days and see how that goes. And at the end of the 10 days, Daniel and his friends were stronger. They were healthier. And even after a whole year of time, or however long the quarantine time was for them, what they found out is that Daniel and them were greater in wisdom, they were greater in purpose, they were greater in strength, not just physically, but I'm talking about intellectually and mentally and emotionally. So we are all in this same season, but you got to ask yourself, you going to hang with Daniel and them, or you going to be with the 90%ers, right? And be like everybody else. So I think you need to look at the desert different. Get your night vision on. When everybody else is sleeping, you moving. When I come out of this, it was like, we didn't know you started that. Whoever said the last bar, girl, we didn't know you had no last bar. You got YouTube. Yes, you didn't know all of that because while you guys were eating from the king's table, I was doing something different. And so that's what I really challenge you, is to look at the desert from a different perspective than you ever looked at it. This is the time to get active. This is the time to be doing something. And everybody can't go where you're going.
Come on now.
And everybody is not called to do what you're called to do. But we need you. We need you. That's why she said something about everybody's purpose being different. That's for real. My purpose doesn't fulfill what everybody needs. That's why there's no competition. I'm not competing with you. He only gave me my purpose. I cannot fulfill yours. And guess what? We're empty without you and without what you have to offer. So you have to be mindful of that. And so I look at the desert from a different perspective. It was amazing. I looked up deserts and I was like, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. There's so many things about a desert that you don't know that's happening. Take those things and apply them to what you should be doing in this season.
Dr. Key, I see your hand. I'm going to let you unmute in just a second. Most people know me, and I know Shauna is on this call. Shauna, you know this is my favorite quote. Years ago, when my congresswoman was running for to become the leader, the minority leader of the Ohio House of Representatives, she and I were having a late conversation because she works late at night. And so we were having this conversation, and she was running and she was working hard. I said, and tomorrow when you win, because you are going to win, they won't understand. The other side who ran against you won't understand why you won. And this is the quote that you're going to give them when you give this speech. It's my favorite quote by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and it fits with this. It says, "The heights by great ones reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night." So while everybody else is sleeping, and that y'all should be toiling if you want to come out of this on the other side. Dr. Key, unmute yourself if you have a comment or a question. Is that a yes?
I'm sorry, I accidentally hit that.
Oh, okay. Is that you? Is that you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all, we got some deep people on this call. Okay.
All right.
I just didn't want you to think that we ignored your hand. Cheryl said, Cheryl Noble, I love you. For the record, I love you. And it was all formed, standing in line, waiting on honey baked ham for Thanksgiving one year. She said, "I put myself first this year and lost a bunch of weight on Weight Watchers. My struggle now is to stay focused on myself and remain intentional." Just what I needed to hear, going with Daniel and his friends.
Come on.
Who else got some comments? Y'all can unmute yourselves and get in on this conversation, because if we can really talk about this, about what it is, I dare some of you to make declarations and confessions today about what you're going to do. I dog double dare you to confess before all these people and before God what you're going to do. Because if you start to see some things happen, who just unmuted? Who is that right there?
Me, Rashida. I don't know if y'all can see me.
We can see you.
Can you see me? I look crazy. I'm over here being a mom.
We're quarantined. Just giving results. Go, baby.
Okay, so I'm a new mom. I graduated college and had my baby and lost everything trying to be a family. And I came back to my city, which is Columbus, Ohio, where I never wanted to come back to after grad. So I was just so broken, like I don't have nothing. So every day I would go to work, I would take a little index card and I would write to myself like, "Dear Rashida, I'm so proud of you. Everything's gonna be okay." Or I would say a prayer, or I would, just do some type of something that had to do with, things going on. I'm kind of like, it's like bittersweet, but it's more like I'm more thankful for it because I was going to work every day with a heavy heart. It's like I'm tired. I gotta tend to my baby. I gotta get to work, tend to these kids at the daycare. And like this whole quarantine situation has allowed me to start writing in my journal again, catch up on some sleep, play with my baby. So I don't know, I'm so thankful, and I just wanted to share that because I got in late on what you guys were talking about. But I've been like trying to work on my self-love journey again. And I'm excited. Like, I'm so excited. I even took some time. I was up to like 2 a.m. last night, and I invested in my business. So everything is starting to look up for me, and I'm excited.
All right. That is amazing. Taking that time. So what we know is that she will not be the same person coming out of this season that she came in this season. If she does nothing else, she's not going to be the same. I surmise to you and asked you, are you the same? Ask yourself that question. Are you the same right now, going in, coming out? And if the answer is yes, you got to start today. If the answer is yes, you got to write it down today. You have to do that. You have to start writing it down. You have to start confessing. You have to start taking action steps. You have to start doing it. You have to do something. Otherwise, this is just another day, another call, another what? You have to make sure that you're intentional about doing it and that you're not going to be the same. That was awesome. I just love to hear that.
Thank you. But to answer the question real quick, I don't feel the same every day because like I do a lot of self-reflection and I'm very aware of myself and things that I want to fix or want to work on or things that I notice. So I don't. And actually, there's a lot of times where I feel like I'm not the same as I was yesterday or even in that last hour. And sometimes it comes from just scrolling on Instagram. So I started following a lot of like inspirational pages, so that way I can see more inspirational posts on my page versus just people who dress in or stuff like that. So I don't feel the same. Every day I feel a step better.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Awesome. Anybody else want to do a confession on here about how they intend to come out on the other side different than how they enter Corona? Why are you laughing, Jamaica? Y'all know it's the Rona. Y'all know we got.
I like the Rona.
I call it the Rona. I'll be like, look, you're trying to, when we yelling at our kids, what? Because you're trying to go out here and play basketball, and I got lupus, and you're gonna come home and give me the Rona. Y'all know we crazy. Is there anybody else who would dare to? Is this? How do you have a son or a daughter? What size do they wear? I believe that's Yolanda asking. Oh, she's showing you, Rolanda. She's got a baby. See the baby? Rolanda asked that question. Thank you so much, Rolanda, for looking out, which brings me to another point during this. Can you see the baby, Rolanda?
Do you see him?
Can you see him moving? So that's her baby. It's a little boy. She's asking what size. This is one of the things that I think it's a great time when we're focused on what we don't have and what we can't do and all that. This is a great season to turn the focus off of us and put the focus on someone else. This is a great season if you know somebody who doesn't have groceries, to do that. This is a great season if, like she reached out and said, if you can help a mom whose kid needs some clothes, or if you can help someone. I saw on the Today Show, this girl, her dog goes over and gets the list from the senior citizen, brings the list back, takes the list, and then takes the groceries back to the lady after her next door neighbor goes and gets her groceries, checking on someone. This is a great season to focus on, as much as we've been talking about focusing on you and how you come out differently. One of the ways you come out differently is that you focus on someone other than
somebody else.
You can grow if you're a selfish and self-only kind of person. It's a great time for you to focus on somebody else. What can you do to bless somebody else? And it doesn't always have to be monetary. But if it is monetary, because folks have monetary needs. There are folks who are furloughed with no pay. And their landlords aren't giving them a break. This morning, I shared this with one of my friends, with Gilly this morning, and she and I were having this conversation. I went to the grocery store this morning, and when I got ready to check out, it was very emotional. I didn't expect to be emotional. The girl handed me my receipt, and I saw what I paid, when I put my little card in. When she handed me my receipt, I felt this overwhelm, and I started crying, and she asked me what was wrong. And I said, nothing. She says, ma'am, are you okay? I think she thought I was like passing out or something. And, in this season, everybody's concerned. And I said, I'm okay. So she finally said, why are you crying? And I was crying because there was a season in my life when spending $220 on groceries, spending $20 on groceries wouldn't have been possible for me. And I was crying because I was grateful that I'm not the same person that I was, and that I'm not in the same circumstances, and that I have a responsibility, because I sat in silence and didn't tell people that I didn't have food and that I was homeless and some other things. And so just being grateful to God that I'm in a different season of my life, and the way that I want to show gratitude is by blessing other people when I've been blessed. For me, that's another time for me to be able to be reflective, not just of where I want to go, but from where I've come and how did I get here? The greatest indicator of future behavior is past behavior. The fact that all y'all still on this call says that you know what it means to fall down and get back up, because there's not a person on here who hasn't fallen. But I double dare you to confess what your get up looks like. Anybody else? Anybody got a confession they want to make today? What they gonna do? I see you clapping, Breeze. I see your hand up, Dr. Key. Did you hit that accidentally, or are you trying to get in? All right.
I must have did an accident. Sorry.
All right. You don't want to confess nothing while you're on here, do you, that you intend to do and you intend to look differently on the other side, do you?
Well, you know what? Not necessarily what I intend to do. But I want to be better at being a wife during this slower season and not letting my work overwhelm me.
Woo. And if you can do it in this season, you know that you have the tools to then do it post Rona Rona.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else? All right. So I started this off by saying, Dr. Q, is there a closing statement that you want to make?
I just want to remind everyone that whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, only you know that. And there are really no shortcuts, right? So in order to make sure that that manifests, you actually have to do it. That's it. There is not a requirement of how often you have to do it, not frequency. It's just that you do something. And we've given so many practical and encouraging ways to get that started. Again, make sure that you're taking the steps to do that. And even I know a lot of times with stuff like this, people are kind of shy, so you don't necessarily speak up. But if you don't do anything, when you end this call, speak to yourself what you're going to do. See if you can continue to keep it to yourself. Again, you're doing the same thing you've already done. You need to speak it out loud, whatever it is you're intending to do, and then start taking the steps to make sure that that happens. And I know that on the other side of all of this, we will look like Daniel and the rest of his friends. We're going to look different. We're going to look better. We're going to be more prepared.
Wow. Terrence says Proverbs 6:6-11. Cheryl says, confessing my age, but I took soda bottles back to the store with my baby in the stroller to buy meat for dinner. I feel you. So I want to close by saying this won't be our last one. It won't be our last time to get together. If there's a better time for you, please let me know. If you'd like to come on and talk about a topic or just come on and share, I'd love to have more of my coffee with teas, not just be me talking to the camera like I do every week. And by the way, if you want to find it, it's on my YouTube channel. And later we will post this. It's on my YouTube channel at Amazing Tea Street. And it's free to subscribe. Just come on and subscribe. You can go back and look at some of the other messages. Sometimes they're short, like 3 or 4 minutes, and sometimes they're 8 minutes or so. But it's just whatever the word is that I feel in my spirit that I come on to share. But if you all are interested in any of you would like to come on and talk about a subject, what you're passionate about, what you life that you'd like to share, please reach out to me on one of my social media platforms. Inbox me on Facebook or DM me on Instagram. My Facebook is Amazing Tea Street. My Instagram is Amazing Tea Street, and my Twitter is @Tea Street. So if you want to just send me a private message because you want to come on my show and just talk about a topic, we will try to do more of these. I'm being more intentional about doing some coffee with tea more than once a week. But I know that some of you have something that can be life transformative. Dr. Q, I just want to say to you, I know that as a wife and a mom and a business owner, you have lots to do and lots on your plate. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. I love the things that you gave us today. You know me, I like a good quote, so you know I'm gonna be using "Don't confuse frequency with consistency." That's gonna be my new thing. Reminding myself of that.
Awesome.
But can you all, everybody who knows where the clap button is down there under is where it says reactions. If you go down below, you'll see a little tab that says reactions. If you have appreciated Dr. Q today, can you go down there and just a virtual hand clap? Q, I don't know if
Thank y'all. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All of you who are clapping, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of our first coffee with tea that is a Zoom. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the folks who continually support the work that I do. I'm the Amazing Tea Street, but I can assure you there is absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. I charge and challenge you to walk in your own amazing. You guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Bye. Y'all take care. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm just laughing. I'm just watching people try to figure out how to click off. That makes me smile. Hey, Rolanda. Hey, Sir Green. Hey, Sands. Hey, Spash. I'm trying to see who Blessing is. Hey, I just want to say hey to y'all because y'all still on, but I'm about to end this. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you.